Hi everyone. Welcome back, because we have so many people, so many loyal listeners to the Homespun
And they've been
Yak.
waiting
They've been waiting, yeah.
an extra day.
An extra day, yeah.
Wow.
So, Kyle, before we actually started recording, you were telling me that you got a new computer.
Mm-hmm. Not using it at the moment because I'm still waiting on the monitor, but I got a Dell desktop because I was planning on getting a desktop computer or just a new computer in general.
Yeah.
Because my current personal computer is a MacBook, and I've had it for 8 years, and it's about time to upgrade. I don't know how it's still hanging on, but it is. I mean, I give it credit for that, but
Yeah.
it pains me tremendously at times. But I mean, it's understandable for an 8-year-old MacBook. So I was like, well, I'm going to get a new computer either for Christmas or just around that time.
Yeah.
And then my company sends an email out because I guess a lot of people, are now working from home that were working in our main offices in Virginia. And they were like, yeah, we're going to have this sale of computers that we're no longer using because people are working from home now, and you can submit your name to, potentially be selected to buy one at a highly discounted rate.
Right.
So my name was selected. So
Wow.
I got a Dell desktop 7050 model.
I gotta look this up.
Yeah, look it up now. It's pretty compact. It came in the other day, and it wasn't a huge risk financially, as it was only $20, including shipping. So
Oh, good gracious! All right, let's check.
check them out. See if I made an error in judgment.
7050 tower, but that's just the tower. That's not an actual computer. Is that all you know from it? Just that it's a 7050.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I think that might be just the case. So we don't actually know what the internals are.
And what do you mean by just the case?
As in, what you look at is the case. The big box thing is just the
Right.
case. And then typically, and then
internally.
Right. So like the CPU and the GPU and the RAM and the motherboard and all that stuff, you'd have to actually log in to the computer and ask it to tell you what you have, or you can take it apart and look at it. But
yeah.
So
well, it'll be a mystery.
Yeah. Well, right here I have a computer that's by Dell that is that case. The Optiplex 7050 mini tower business desktop computer comes with
that's the one.
That's the one. It comes with an Intel Core 6th generation i7 6700. It's not a bad computer, bad CPU. Behind this door, I actually have a 6700K, which is this exactly.
Wow.
And it had 16 gigabytes of RAM, which this does as well. So who knows?
If that's the case.
That would be
my God.
Yeah. Well, no matter what, for $20, you got a bargain.
Yeah, I took a risk. Yeah.
You email them back. I want my money back. You ship it back.
Sending it back.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. That's
Thank you.
Great. I did actually want to talk about computers as well, because right now, anybody who knows me or has known me for a long time, knows that I don't really like Apple that much um, because of a number of reasons. But I will say that there are a number of things that Apple has just announced over the last 2, 3 weeks, something like that, that have been quite impressive. So it's kind of a PSA because we have so many different segments here on the Homespun Yak, from educational content to comedy to political commentary to all
To
kinds of different things,
sports.
to sports. Well, this is the tech corner.
All right.
So
It's Tech Tuesdays.
Tech Tuesdays, yeah. So Apple has released a new MacBook Pro, which would, I'm sure it's barely better than Kyle's current MacBook.
Yeah.
MacBook.
I'd have to see it.
I'd have to see it. So Apple, what's in Kyle's computer right now is an Intel CPU. So they use a chip that does all the processing, all the computing, and it's created by the company Intel. So actually, your computer that you're getting, it has an Intel CPU if it has that 6700. So Apple, what they've done is that they've cut off their ties with Intel and they have started to create their own CPU. So not only are they kind of organizing the internals of their computers, but they're actually producing their own CPU now, their own chipset. And that chipset is called the M1 chipset. So the other computers, the other MacBook Pros and MacBooks, et cetera, were great. I mean, they were well optimized. Aside from my major qualms with them, like overall, they're great computers. It's just that you're paying like double the price for a setup that you could easily get on a PC. But what you're paying for is the optimization, the fact that the operating system, the software of Apple, is incredibly compatible with their hardware. They have specifically designed it that way. But when they had Intel chips, which is literally just last generation computers, and anything before that, they had kind of a normal pattern of how they display or how they kind of organize the internals of their computer. Now with this M1 chip, which is a teeny tiny chip, they've packed all of those internals into one teeny tiny chip, which is incredibly impressive engineering. I will give them that. And the beauty of this chip is that now it has almost double the battery life, but it also has like 50% increases in performance. So it's a real like leap in terms of engineering. So if anybody is considering getting, as has been considering, as you know, if their budget, if they want to pay more than $20 for a computer, then and they want to get a MacBook Pro or MacBook in general, this would be the year. Like this would be the, like if you're genuinely
And when does this
considering-
drop?
It literally dropped like today,
Whoa.
or like yesterday, like within the last few days. So this new chipset is blazing fast. They've done some incredible work. There's a little bit of compatibility issues that they're still working through, but that'll probably get resolved in the next few months. And it's probably a computer that will, just like your computer, lasted for 8 years. It'll definitely be one that will be really, really like perform extremely well for multiple years to come. So that's one PSA. The other thing is that the iPhone 12 has come out. So I have although I don't like Apple for their computers, I do very much matter of fact, I wouldn't say I like their phones. I think their phones are absolutely brilliant. Yeah, iPhone bros. That's right. Oh, wait, you don't have an iPhone. Do you have an iPhone? Yeah, you've got an iPhone.
Oh, yeah.
I needed to check if you were a plebe and check if you had the blue.
Not the green.
Yeah, exactly. Come on, dude. Yeah. So if you're an iPhone.
I feel like I got an iPhone 1 year ago exactly, and it was the 10 or the X.
Right. Yeah. People always get
Did I miss the 11?
Yes, the 11
was there an 11?
There has been an 11. That was last year.
Okay.
So the newest model last year was 11, and then the 10 was before that, and then they had, or 10S, and then 10, and then iPhone 8 because they just skipped 9. They were just like,
Okay. Yeah.
they were like
Sure.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're Apple.
X.
10. X. Yeah, exactly. People did make fun of them for
That's
doing
like
that.
Xbox.
Xbox is a whole nother genre of like naming stuff is just all over the place. So their new iPhone, which like I was saying, I will say I am a diehard Apple iPhone fan because of just I've never had a problem. Like, think about that.
Mm-hmm.
A piece of technology that I have never had a problem. I had an iPhone 4, an iPhone 6, and now an iPhone 8 Plus, and none of them crapped out. All their battery lives were perfect. I mean, I had zero complaints. So that to me alone is remarkable. But now, and I've been hesitating because their iPhones are so well optimized. I'm assuming yours works pretty much flawlessly because
Yeah.
it is newer than the one that I have. And mine works flawlessly. I mean, it's been 4 years and it works flawlessly, which is, again, incredible. But now they just launched their new iPhones, which are the iPhone 12. And so the other PSA that I wanted to put out there is the iPhone 12 is so great that if you have an older iPhone 8, iPhone 10, whatever it might be, iPhone 7, anything below that, anything other than an iPhone 11. And even if you have an iPhone 11, I would actually genuinely consider moving up to an iPhone 12 if you can, is because the CPU in that is blazingly fast. The hardware that they've put into it is they come out with iPhone 12 and then they come out with the iPhone 12 Pro, and the Pro usually is supposed to have like a few things that are better about it. That's why they can price it at about $150 more. Well, the iPhone 12 is so good that it has the exact same internals, almost the exact same internals as the iPhone 12 Pro at $150 cheaper. And the quality, like the picture quality that it takes, the video quality that it takes, the performance, it's indistinguishable from the iPhone 12 Pro. So, and they've upgraded their screens now from previously they had the Retina display, and then they had the like HD Retina display, and now they have the XDR or something like that Retina display, which is a 1440p, but it's OLED. So the big shift from the iPhone 11, so some of the iPhone 11s had OLED screens and some of them had LCD screens, and now iPhone 12, the whole line has OLED screens. So my point being, like, they've packed so much into this iPhone 12 that it's kind of made the iPhone 12 Pro kind of obsolete. So at get-go. So my big PSA overall is if somebody's looking to upgrade at the moment, I would definitely say that the iPhone 12 is an incredible phone and it's something to consider getting. And if you are a computer user and you use Apple, I would never generally recommend people go from PC to Apple. But if you are a computer user and you use MacBook, then definitely consider getting the new MacBook. And there's my rant, my technology rant on Apple.
Now, how much would a new iPhone 12 run you?
I mean,
obviously it varies if you're due for an upgrade, etc. But I mean, what are they running at right now?
Yeah, I think it's base price is $700.
And and that's the Pro.
No.
What's the Pro run you?
Oh,
And what does the Pro have that the other one doesn't? Because you made it seem as though there wasn't a huge difference.
That's the thing. There isn't that much of a difference. The Pro does have another camera lens, so it's got an ultra wide camera lens as well, and it also comes with 6 gigabytes of RAM as opposed to 4 gigabytes of RAM. The thing is, though, that the chip that they've got in it, so kind of like the CPU, we were talking about Intel, and now this M1 chip that Apple is using for their laptops, the chip, the A14 Bionic, is extremely quick, and it's in both phones. So the RAM amount probably isn't going to ultimately matter all that much in the long term. So the real difference between the Pro and the 12 is just the fact that the Pro has an extra camera.
Okay.
But people have actually been taking tests, like taking camera tests, and they found no difference between the two.
Oh, wow.
So there's really no real point. Oh, also it's made out of a different material. I forgot that. It's got an aluminum body.
Okay.
I think that's it. It's some
platinum trim.
Yeah, something like that. It's got a different style like slightly different style to it.
Meteorite core.
Yeah, exactly.
And the MacBook, the new M1.
I think that one's $1,000.
That's not as bad as I thought.
Yeah. I was actually surprised myself. MacBook Pro. Let's see. And this is the Pro version. Yeah. Well, it's not $1,000. I misspoke. It's 10,000.
10,000.
No, it's 1,300 for the 13-inch model. I'm actually stunned though. The 16-inch model is $2,400.
Hey,
that's an $1,100 increase for 3 inches more screen real estate. I mean, I'm sure there's other differences.
Wow.
Oh, it's got some added benefits inside, but like, yeah.
And the Air, do they do an Air, MacBook Air as well for this one?
Yeah, they do.
Not yet.
They do. Oh, MacBook Air. Oh, okay. So that one is the $1,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you're an Apple user and you've been kind of on the fence if you should upgrade, yeah, this year would definitely be the year.
They're going in the right direction.
Yeah. And make sure you get this year, because they're still selling, last year's model. So make sure that it doesn't have Intel written on it anywhere. Make sure that it's M1, has an M1 chip in it. It's a fantastic buy.
And that's their own creation.
Yeah, they've created it themselves.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a cool system the way that they've got it figured out. So but if you have a PC, I'm always going to be diehard and say do not ever switch to Apple if you have a PC. Because you're going to ultimately you're paying, like we just saw, $2,400 for a computer. I promise you I can build a PC for probably a third of that price. Which is stunning.
And you'd have to, it'd be a completely different operating system and just a new layout that you'd have to get used to. And you might not have access to the same things without having to download or install new features. And I don't know that things translate or are compatible so easily on both sides. So, yeah. But with the Xbox Series X, that's already out.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's sold out still.
Is it?
Well, yeah, I'm sure it's sold. I think it's sold out the first day, but they may be back in stock at some places. But I saw that was like $600.
I think that might be, or 500.
500, 600.
Yeah, I know the PS5 is currently, like, everybody's going crazy over that at the moment. I think you're right. It's around $600.
And then they did a lesser version of it as well.
Yeah,
for like 300.
Right. Yeah, the S. Which, to be frank, I don't know why I would get the S if you have an Xbox One X. So you've got the Xbox One, then you've got the Xbox One X, then you've got the Xbox One S, and then you have the Xbox One Series X. I mean, like, who at Microsoft is just like, we can't think of any other names, just X, X, S, X. It's like all they need is just an E in there, and then they can just call it Xbox Sex, and then just go from there.
Might as well. It'd be easier to like differentiate between the 17 models, but um, is the Xbox Series X? I mean, is it better than the PS5? That's the question that everybody wants to know. And
Oh,
is it worth the money right now? And will it go down in price
uh,
eventually?
I'm sure it'll go down in price at some point once the scalpers have stopped raising the price on everything. Is it better than the PS5? Like in raw compute power, it definitely is. It blows the PS5 out of the water. But I mean, is it worth it? I think ultimately it comes down to the games, which a lot of, I
That
mean,
Halo isn't out.
yeah, which I'm so glad. I don't know if we ever talked about that, but I'm so glad that they postponed that because it was originally supposed to come out on launch day, and
Launch
then
date, yeah.
they released a demo, and people were so upset by the. Like, it's not to say that the graphics were bad. It's not like they were like, "Hey, let's make a Halo game with bad graphics." But the textures and stuff, like when you would look out at the
Mm-hmm.
ground, the textures would kind of pop in and out, and they didn't enable a very new next gen process called ray tracing, and I think I've talked about that before. But ultimately, like people were so mad by like how bad the demo was that
Yeah.
Microsoft actually apologized and then said, "We've decided due to feedback that we will postpone for at least a year." So, hey, I
Wow.
mean, I'm totally down because Halo 5 was a disaster. By
Yeah.
Halo standards, was a disaster. So,
Well, that's good that they're realizing that you can't exactly rush Halo
yeah,
anymore. And but it does suck because I'm sure a lot of people were hoping to have that as soon as they got their console. But I mean, there's other games like I'm sure FIFA's out. I'm sure like Gears of War, stuff like that.
yeah, yeah. For me, at least,
Need for
like,
Speed.
yeah, uh, Jenga 3D. I can't
Yeah, the classics.
I I also don't want to buy an Xbox Series X until the price goes down. I'm not at that
Right.
stage in my life anymore where I'm like I need to get this
I
thing the
have to have it.
moment it comes out.
Wait in line.
Yeah, yeah. But I would like to get it eventually. And so the fact that Halo gets is being postponed like a year, that would then mean that probably the Xbox One's or Xbox One Series
Series X.
X is going to be reduced in price. I'll probably get it then.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that probably, well, I'm sure they're going to have amazing sales regardless, but, you know, being the year that it's been, I think it's probably not the wisest move for most to spend the money on that, but, you know, people will surprise.
hey, PS5 has sold out twice already.
Wow.
They had an initial launch. It sold out in I think minutes, and then they had a second launch, and that sold out in minutes as well. So people literally were waiting. Like I mean, you're talking about thousands upon thousands of people who are sitting there waiting to buy this console. I mean, PS5 is in terms of like hype, people have been just going crazy over the PS5. So
Wow.
you still have a lot of people that are waiting to like even be able to purchase it. Um, yeah, there are some people I know on Facebook. I saw some complaints of people saying they had it in their cart and they didn't like type in their purchase information fast enough, and then when they clicked to like complete the order, it
Oh, I
said
got, yeah. It
you
was gone.
it's yeah it's already been sold out.
Wow.
How crazy would that be?
Oh, that's that's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, what is like PlayStation's big game or games that's like exclusive to them? Would that be like Final Fantasy?
I
Would that
think
be
that's
one of
probably
them?
a big one. Final
Hmm.
Fantasy. Man, I'm thinking like way back. I never really played PlayStation, so
Yeah.
there was like Kingdom Hearts that people were crazy over. Um, Gran Turismo in terms
Mm-hmm.
of racing. Uh,
But I mean, like Call of Duty, and I mean that's both consoles. So
yeah, I'm not sure if God of War is only for PlayStation or not. Um, oh, Uncharted. Those are
oh
PlayStation
yeah,
exclusives. Um, yeah, I don't know. I know Final Fantasy would probably be one of the biggest ones.
mm-hmm. I remember playing that on the first PlayStation.
Oh,
Yeah, that and Crash Bandicoot. That's an exclusive.
I, I remember playing that one Donkey Kong game that you would always kill me in.
Oh yeah, that was on the N64 though.
Oh, was it?
But same exact time frame. Like that came out around the same time, I think, as the first edition.
Yeah.
Because then the Dreamcast came out.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
that's not Nintendo.
Sega.
Yeah, Sega, Dreamcast, Nintendo Cube, and PlayStation 2, I think all came out. And
Yeah.
then like Xbox came out
Yeah,
around
that's
that
right.
same time.
Yeah.
I just remember getting the Dreamcast for Christmas and it just wouldn't even turn on. And I was like, Christmas is ruined. And then we went to the mall and returned it and got a PS2, and it was turned out to be a much better console at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah. The Dreamcast
But
just kind of fell on its face.
I know I loved the idea of it, but it just didn't pan out for me.
When did you get your Xbox? Because I know at one point you got it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I got my Xbox after my first. I don't know. Like after the PS2, maybe. Um, because I was diehard. Well, I was any console really as a kid, but like Aaron and I would always play Crash Bandicoot on PlayStation and like NCAA basketball, and um, I don't know. We were pretty diehard PlayStation, and then um, I remember being in Target and seeing like Halo being, like just like the trailer of it being playing in the game section, and
Hmm.
I just I don't know. I guess I got an Xbox for Christmas, and I got that game shortly after, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm all in on this. And then when Halo 2 came out and then Xbox Live came out, it was another level. And I
Oh
hope to
yeah.
go through that same renaissance in my 30s with the Series X
Oh,
and
that's
then the new
good.
Halo.
That's good.
So I hope to come full circle on that.
Yeah. That Renaissance, man, oh man. Yeah. That really was a Renaissance. It really was.
Yeah, it's crazy how crazy, or how much gaming has changed in, I don't know, 15 years or so. And that was like the forefront of what all gaming is based on now, which is online
Hmm.
and just playing with people all over the world. It was just wild to be like playing against somebody from a different country, just from nothing to that. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. That's where trash talking was born. I mean,
Oh,
some of the most vile stuff possible.
from from some of the most like pipsqueak young
Yeah.
kids throughout the world who wouldn't dream of saying that in person, but
Uh,
it gave people the ability to insult people horrifically, without repercussion.
no, no. I mean, it was like a wall of sound that would hit you. Like you'd play the game, you wouldn't hear much, and then you'd get to the end, like after you lost, and you would like the menu would load, and you'd see everybody there, for like, I don't know, 20
Yeah, yeah.
seconds before it went to the next game. And people
People
were
are talking.
just talking so much
Yeah.
shit,
Never
especially if they
played.
won.
Oh, yeah. Because before you went into the match, you could see who you're playing and you
Hmm.
could talk, you could hear them as well
Yeah, yeah,
before and after.
yeah,
Yeah. And then when you're in like close range to them in the
yeah,
game
right.
as well.
Exactly. Exactly.
Just the greatest was just when someone, and I don't know who invented this, but when you died and you had your like respawn screen like showed your dead body for like 5 seconds,
Yeah.
and it would just be the best to see like, well, it's you'd be furious if it was you who were dead, and then the guy that killed you quick runs over and crouches over your
Just
head.
teabags you.
Yeah. I mean, in the moment you're furious, but looking back, I mean, it was great.
That was like the victory dance. It really
Like
was.
you had to do it. Like it was just like you kill a guy, you run over, you have to do that, and then you keep moving on. It's
Yeah.
not even didn't even become fun anymore. It was just like that's what you do.
Totally. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, that was a different time. I hopefully you're right that we can rekindle that renaissance.
I know. I think it's possible
Yeah.
because if they are waiting an entire year to make sure this new Halo is right, then I don't see why not. I mean, everybody's got faster internet now. There's no excuses.
Yeah. I think what made it the best though too is like you actually met people that, and I think that's something that I would want to do is you actually met people online that sometimes were like really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then you ended up like trying to figure out, hey, when are you going to be on so that I can be on at the same time?
Right.
And one thing that I do not understand why Halo does not do this is clans. They used to have clans in Halo 2 and the ranking system was from 1 to 50. And
50,
it was impossible to get to 50 unless you cheated. Like that was the only way to get to 50. So and I'm not joking about that.
Plenty
Like,
of
it was
people
literally
did.
impossible. Yeah, but you still saw like the occasional 50. You'd be like, okay, we're gonna get fucked because it's not that this guy's good. It's that he's cheating. But
Right.
then you had like legitimate like 47s and 48s, and I mean that was like a god. I mean,
Yeah.
you saw that and you were like, there's no chance. We have no
Yeah.
chance whatsoever. And legitimately, these people, they weren't cheating. Like they got a legitimate 47, 48, and they would annihilate like entire teams by themselves. They were that good. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
talk Gavin Everett, like that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
him.
And so the ranking system though would actually punish you if you lost. So people actually cared about winning and losing.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when like if you're like a 48 and you lose a game because your team like, fucks up or whatever, like you were at risk of actually dropping down to a 47. And that was the same for everyone. So everybody was constantly trying to do their best that they possibly could. And you would try and boot someone if they were like just fucking around and whatnot. Like
Right.
people took it
Right.
super
or
seriously.
killed your own guy. Yeah.
Yeah, and now the ranking system is just like you just keep progressing up. Like you might progress slower, but you'll still continue to progress up. There's no like
It
punishment.
just stops.
Like you don't. Yeah,
It doesn't
you-
go down.
Exactly, which is so stupid. That's one thing. And the second thing was clans. I thought that was such a brilliant idea because would like try to organize their logos to look a certain way. They
Yeah.
try to make their face masks a certain way and all that. And like you'd see like these clans, like clan versus clan battle, 16 against 16. Like
Yeah.
just amazing fights. Like people were so like you'd run into a clan that was super coordinated and would have like,
Yeah.
4 people go this way.
Set
and like 10
guys that
people-
would
yeah.
like drive, or set guys
Exactly.
that would
Oh.
be on the
So
gun
fun.
and stuff.
So
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Because we had a ton of people from school that would play, and like
Yep.
a lot of people that were kind of on the same skill level. So it was a lot easier to just be like, yeah, we might as well just play Slayer or Big Team Battle or something with everybody, because there's not really a weak guy. And then, until Gavin advanced to a level where you would see him online and you're just like, send him a request and he's just like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to play with these other guys. You're like, all right, sweet. That's
fair
fine.
enough. We understand. We suck. By comparison.
And you could do custom matches online as well, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Halo 2 was the game. It was perfection. It really was. It was just perfection all the way around.
They nailed it.
Yeah, they did. For the life of me, I will never understand why they took away dual wielding in Halo 4, and in Halo 3, I think Halo 3 they got rid of clans. So it was only Halo 2 that had clans and dual wielding. And that was like the pinnacle, you know. I just hope. I hope you're right.
And you would have to think there's that everybody who, well, not everybody, but you know, of all the people who had an Xbox when Xbox Live, you know, originated, they also probably played Halo 2 and feel a similar way. So you would think that the public majority would be like, yeah, I mean, look at Halo 2. You probably never had numbers like that, you know, people online at one time.
No.
I mean, maybe you probably do with like, you know, different games, but within the Halo series, I got to feel like that was the pinnacle.
For sure. Yeah. I'd like to. I'd definitely like to get. I still have an Xbox Live membership. I have no idea why. I haven't played Xbox in like a year, but I still have one.
Just hanging on.
Yeah, just hanging on. And I am hoping, like, it's just so much fun, and hopefully at some point, we can get back to that.
I would love to. Yeah. It can take over your life, though.
Yeah, it can. It can.
I mean, I know people who still play Call of Duty, like pretty religiously now. I loved Call of Duty. I remember playing the first ones like on PS2, like Modern War, or not Modern War, but like the World War II version.
Yeah.
Before anything
like
was
Call of Duty
online.
1 and Call of Duty 2.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Call of Duty 3. Yeah.
So, I mean, I love those games too, but they never really reeled me in like Halo did, where I was like, I can't wait to get back on again.
Yeah. Oh, nothing ever compared to Halo. I did get pretty into Modern Warfare and Modern Warfare 2. Those were, to me, those were the best Call of Duties ever. On the 360. Yeah, on the 360. I think they just remastered actually one of them. And people were really, really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's huge for PlayStation too.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, it sucks. I mean, you try and play and you hope that the games have the ability to give you balance, because, you know, the versions of ourselves that we are now, we're never going to be as good as we were when we were 15 or 14 or 12.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll still give it a shot.
Yeah, we'll give it a go. we bring back the trash talk from the Halo 2 days.
Yeah. Like 1 kill, 20 deaths.
Yes. We figure out who that
just
one guy was, and then we just like hammer that dude and just like, what are you gonna bitch? Fuck you. God, you suck. Get off. Your team hates you. I fucked your mom last night.
Yeah, it was, some of the stuff was like, still, it's just wild.
Oh yeah. Oh, like, terrible. Just terrible.
Yeah, like
stuff.
I can't even repeat some of the stuff. I just don't even feel comfortable saying it.
No.
That was years ago.
Yeah, it was.
Very inspired a lot of passion from people. I will say that.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, absolutely. Jeez, people were really into it. I just as a last point, I remember this one game, and this will forever be cemented into my brain. Is the game that, and I don't know exactly who is on our team, but I know you were there because you were like the star at the very end. I was there. I
I
think
think
maybe
Justin
Gavin,
Hazlett was there.
Justin Hazlett. So you are, I think you already know
I don't know. I
the
already know.
game. We were playing against these guys that were really good. I mean, they were really good, and they were up by like at least 10 on us. So it was a Slayer match to, I guess, 50 or 60, one of the two numbers.
50, I believe.
Yeah, and they had
There's a
49
time limit.
points. Yeah, they had 49 points, and we were down by like 10. And so they only needed to get one kill to win the game, and we ended up tying the game 49 all. And somehow
And
we were
we
just
were in a
hiding out in that
cave.
cave. Yeah, exactly. And you grabbed the sword.
Panicking.
Yeah, you grabbed this totally panicking. Like at first we were like, we're gonna lose this, good
Oh
fight,
wow,
whatever. And then we're like, oh, we got a few kills, and we're like, okay, yeah, that's good. We're still gonna lose, but and then we got to like 48.
Like
We were
40
like,
set, yeah.
nobody move, no one move. Oh man,
What is happening?
yeah, what is happening? Like just astounded. And then so you were crouching down behind an obstruction or whatever, and they were coming from that one
When you
side.
crouch, you can't detect yourself
Right.
on radar.
Yeah, exactly. And they saw us like in the cave, but you were outside of the cave and you were just waiting with the sword. And so they were shooting at us and they couldn't see you.
Bold strategy.
Toe's so bold. And we were like retreating, just running into this cave. And then they passed you, or one of the guys passed you, and you just lunged. And at that point, the sword was like invincible. Like you could not
Right.
block it. So it would just like be an instant, like once you
Once
locked
you
on,
lock
you were
on.
good. Yeah. And you took out that guy, and we just
Yeah.
screamed. 50 to 49, our team came back. Good gracious.
Yeah.
That was such a good game.
That was a rush. That was
It really
one of the
was.
highest highs you'll experience.
Move over, heroin.
Yeah, exactly. I've been chasing that feeling for 15 years.
Seriously. Oh, man. What a game. That's been cemented in my brain for such a long time.
I know. Yeah, you can't forget that. Well,
You want to talk about death?
yeah. Well, there's a to transition there's a story that I shared, but first let me lead in so that it is a smoother transition to this. Well, let's see. We'll talk about this first, actually.
You want to talk about
I came across this article today about an Italian runner who was running with his friend in a part of Italy called Lombardy, which I think is more in the north of Italy. And they were just running together, and one of the guys, I guess they were on a mountain, and he fell about 650 feet and died. And the guy that he was with called, paramedics, and they got a helicopter out to the area straight away. I mean, obviously the damage had been done, but they got the body and everything. And then like a couple days later, the guy who called the paramedics got a fine of about 500 euros because he was not following like social distancing protocols in Italy, and he went into another region of Italy that was like in a red zone warning stage for COVID. So they're like, yeah, your friend died, but you broke the COVID rules, so you're gonna have to pay us. You watched your friend fall to his death. We still need our money because you violated. You could have given other people COVID on the top of a mountain. So I just thought that was insanely brutal, and it just like reminded me of a couple weeks ago, like guys like John Gruden and Mike Tomlin for the Steelers and Pete Carroll getting fined like $200,000+ for not wearing their mask like enough on the sideline during the game. And I don't know. I mean, certainly the running story is like, that's a bit excessive. Some would say the epitome of excess, but like I get the NFL has guidelines in place that they established at the beginning of the season that were like, everybody needs to wear a mask and shit. But $200,000-$500,000. I mean, is that a bit rash?
Maybe a warning might be warranted there. And then maybe like a little smaller fine before you jump to 200,000.
But at the same time, the entire team has been together. They've all been tested. They then go out on the field. They're smashing into each other on the field. But the coach has to wear a mask, and he's screaming and yelling. And clearly the mask isn't doing shit at that point. No one's got a mask on but the coaches. And then they're like, if you have a helmet on, that's cool. If you don't have a helmet, you got to wear a mask. They said that.
That is pretty ridiculous.
As if a helmet or a cloth mask. Let's be real. That doesn't really do shit either, I would imagine.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I feel like that is more the NFL just being like, we lost so much money, like let's try to get as much money from whatever thing we can get. Where people will still kind of be like, well, they should be wearing a mask. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of justified, but I don't think it is.
Yeah.
I mean, which I don't know. I find myself thinking a lot now that we're headed into a dark winter. I mean, we're seeing, certainly places in Europe go into another sort of lockdown type scenario. And I'm guessing some places here like California and certain states are implementing or going back, sort of implementing more stricter lockdown oriented procedures. Like, is there any evidence that a lockdown again or a lockdown in general has helped us at all prevent deaths? I mean, I just don't know. And I feel like death rate has gone down as well, despite cases going up. I mean, initially the death rate was pretty alarming, and any death rate associated with a disease is bad. But I think in North Carolina, I looked at John Hopkins' map today, and number of overall cases compared to the number of deaths. I mean, that's like a 1.6% death rate for the disease. And obviously that varies, but it's not much higher or lower across the board in the United States. I mean, is shutting down more harmful than, not shutting down and potentially like a little bit more people dying? I mean, I'm not trying to sound crass or like, I just feel like at a certain point, locking down again and implementing really strict measures on a disease that's like 1% to 2% fatality rate might be more harmful. Certainly, the economic detriment might outweigh that overall, because then you have mental health issues, you have people going into poverty, small businesses closing down. I mean, it's like, it's hard to compare the two things, but I mean, I'm simply asking a question. I'm not making a statement. I think the question needs to be asked, and you need to answer this.
Okay, I'll try my best. Uh, I from the get go, I didn't give a shit if the death percentage was 5% or 10%. I think that I think it should be up to the individual to, not talking about mask wearing, but
Hmm.
up to the individual to decide if they want to put their life at risk uh, within reason. Like if a work, I think there has to be some national mandates in terms of like if you're, let's say, 68 years old and you work at retail or something, like there has to be some sort of protection there, because
Hmm.
obviously that person is forced, they have to go to work, so it's either their health or they lose their job and they lose
Right.
everything. So obviously there would have to be some sort of program for that, but that is still way cheaper than
Oh
shutting
my
down the
God. Yeah.
entire
Entire
economy for everyone. Um,
and not helping, and not helping the vast majority of small businesses that are the ones that are truly suffering here. I mean, if restaurants have to shut down again, I mean, it's over for a lot of them. Like,
yeah,
people barely survived the first time and are still just hanging on. A lot of people didn't survive, but I mean, the consensus is, what from what I'm hearing, is like, if we have to lock down again, I mean, we're done.
yeah, yeah. I never understood that. I never understood the idea of shutting down, because to your point, I don't know if there was any, like, flatten the curve. That's what they always said, and
Yeah.
I was always like, I don't understand the rationale if, most people get this and they end up turning out fine, or at the very least they don't die. Like there might be some
Right.
repercussions later on that we're not aware of, but that didn't make any sense to me. So if they end up doing that again, and you also said the death rate hasn't climbed, which is right. It, at least in relative terms, it hasn't climbed. I think in
Hmm.
absolute terms it has increased, but that's merely because the number of people that have been infected, which is over 150,000 a day at this point, um,
Right.
is increasing. Therefore, the death toll would increase. But the relative, like if you get the virus, do you have a greater chance of dying than before? The answer is no. Um,
Hmm.
because medical care has gotten better. I will say that I think it is possible that the death rate will climb again, at least some, once the hospitals become overrun, because they just
Hmm.
can't handle the number of people. So then it's just a matter of lack of care. But yeah, I've never been a fan of the shutdown. I've never um, liked it. I never understood it. I do understand wearing masks. That makes complete sense to me. And um, I, d-
Yeah.
and I will say, like, I do get aggravated by this idea that a lot of people just like go out and they just, I was talking to a few people about this, but it's just essentially this idea of like, oh, yeah, COVID's a thing. COVID's real. I respect COVID. But once it's not convenient for me, suddenly I'm just going to turn a blind eye and just do what I want to do and then go back to on track of being like, yeah, COVID's bad, et cetera, et cetera. Socially distance, wear a mask, all that. Don't
Yeah.
don't get together with big parties, but
Yeah.
but I'm going to do it real quick and then I'm going to, go back.
Right.
That
Shame you for doing it.
yeah, that just, and I've seen so much of that,
I
like,
know.
which is, if I'm not okay with it, obviously, but like, what am I going to say? It's not up to me what other people do. But it's, I think people have gotten into this COVID fatigue completely. But ultimately, like, no matter what, COVID fatigue, no COVID fatigue, I think that shutting down businesses and shutting down everything just
Yeah,
I haven't understood the proof or understood
right.
why how it helps.
Because we did already, and it's still a massive issue as far as cases on the rise.
Yeah.
So, did we even accomplish really anything
Mm.
based on locking down the way we did this entire year, basically? And now we want to go back because it's going up again. Like, I don't know. I don't think people will be too receptive to that. I mean, I understand being safe and, following procedures that businesses want you to follow if they allow you to go into their business. I mean, of course, but I don't know. I mean, someone told me that in California, they're saying like if you're not allowed to have more than however many people over for Thanksgiving, and you have to report the names of the people that came over in case they get it, and then they spread it and
Mm.
stuff. And I'm just like, dude, that's where I draw the line, is when you're trying to make me like report things and report people, and it's like you said. I mean, if you feel comfortable doing everyday normal activities, that's you're taking your own life in your hands. I mean, it's like the drug thing. Like in Oregon, they're like, you do what you want to
Mm.
do with your body. Like, now who's more vulnerable to get COVID and to experience severe symptoms. We didn't in the beginning, and we locked down, and that's fine. But now we have a much better understanding of who this impacts negatively and who it really doesn't do much damage at all to, it seems like.
Mm.
So that, and knowing based on all we know now, you need to decide, is it worth the risk of you going out or to a party or to whatever? And you just have to be responsible to yourself and to other people around you. But otherwise, you're not gonna tell me what I can and can't do as far as how many people I can go in a room with, or who I have to report my name for going to my grandma's house or something like that. I mean, that's just kind of outrageous to me, and that's a little bit of a power trip on these mayors and governors and things in these bigger cities. Is like, once they get a little bit of a taste of it, they want to see how far they can go. Um, but anyway, that's uh, that's my take on what's going on and why I don't want to see another shutdown.
Yeah.
Not for my sake, but for, people I know, small businesses too.
Right. Yeah, I agree with the no shutdown. Um, I think that if people do end up deciding to take things into their own hands and end up deciding to go out and exposing themselves or just doing dumb stuff, that's cool. Like if it's just for them, I think the only problem that I have is like if those people aren't like careful, because you can definitely spread it to other people that you may not know, like you may just briefly encounter them or whatnot.
Hmm.
I think just like this week, there's a report of a wedding that happened, which was actually also outdoor. I don't quote me on that actually, but I know there's a wedding and it was like 150 people that were there, and then just like one or two people had COVID they didn't know, and then like 130 people got infected at the wedding, and 8 people died, but none of those people were at the wedding. So the people that were
Hmm.
infected, they all survived, but they all went back to home, right? And then they
Hmm.
infected someone else and they killed them.
Yeah.
And that to me is, I mean, one, that's heartbreaking, but secondly, it's like that's where I have trouble. Like on an individual level, again, I'm never going to tell someone, hey, you can't do that. But I do think that if you go out to a party, you get COVID, you come back,
Yep.
you talk with your parents, and you're not taking into consideration that you went to this party and you didn't like socially distance and all that, and you get them
Hmm.
sick and they die, I think your face should be like just rammed into their
Yeah.
fucking grave, because that, I mean, that pisses me off to no end. It's
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about. This like complete lack of care, this complete, like it's
Hmm.
all about me. I need to
Yeah.
have this fun, which I get that to a degree, because everybody's got this COVID fatigue. Like, do I want to fucking get tested before I go to North Carolina, and then when I come back, and like I
Right.
like, for example, for me, as I I've had to take stringent measures not to have it, like any contact except for at my work where we wear masks and stuff, um, for the last like week to 2 weeks actually. And I getting tested, then going to North Carolina and making sure that like I don't have like a bunch of contact with people, and then I'm gonna get
Hmm.
tested again before I go back to work. Like, I just to make sure that I'm bookending, and it's a
Right.
pain in the ass. Like, I don't want to do that. I do not want to do that, but I'm doing whatever I possibly can, because if I went back to North Carolina and I got my mom sick and she ended up dying, like that would scar me for life. I mean, I would be
I'd
like,
probably kill you too.
thank you. Thank you. I would be, I'd be absolutely just destroyed inside, you know? And it does kind of blow my
Yeah.
mind that some people just don't think about that. They're so selfish. They're just like,
I know.
but I want to go to the party. Like,
Yeah.
it's a different world for a year. Like, you're going to have to deal with this
Right.
for a year.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not saying
Yeah.
you can't do
It's gonna
fun
be weird.
stuff.
Right. It's going to be weird. It's going to be shitty for the remainder of the year, probably even half of next year. But,
Yeah.
you know, it will get better as long as everybody takes personal responsibility and accountability for their actions, and um, just is very mindful of what they're doing. Like, I want people to be able to live their life and have fun and, do the things they used to do whenever they want to do them. But, yeah, you have to definitely be diligent in noting who you've seen, where you've been, and it can be very, yeah, like you said, annoying, but for that's just how it is right now. It
Yeah.
is what it is. I mean, when I came back from Vegas, I made sure I didn't go near anyone and basically waited and got tested. And when I got the result that I was negative, that's when I like went back out and associated with people in person.
Humankind. Yeah.
Yeah, humankind, because I was like, well, for sure I've got COVID. I mean, I just was in Las Vegas for 4 days. I mean, I'm 100% positive. Um, but I wasn't somehow.
That's good. That's
Which
good.
is good. And like Vegas did it, they were very good about, making sure people were following
Yeah.
distancing while still being able to have a good time. And like, I
Right.
give it up to Las Vegas, because they yeah, they persevered through this tough time, and I think they're gonna still be who they are at the end of this thing, because they like took the precautions. Um, so that was good. But yeah, it's like a lot of people are like, well, I didn't leave the state, or I didn't go to I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, if you went to a party, if you went to a big gathering, a wedding, whatever, I mean, you just never know.
Yeah. It's your
And it sucks, and
obligation.
I hate it.
It's
But it
it's
is
your
what it is.
obligation in that situation to tell the people that you might encounter down the road for the next
Mhm.
like few days, week or whatever, that hey, I went to a party, I haven't been tested yet. Like, I'm letting you know so you can make an informed decision of if you want to hang out with me. But I mean, the vast majority of people aren't going to be doing that. Um,
Mm-mm.
it's just this like really selfish nature. I will push back for a second against the New York Times article that I just briefly saw, and the headline was, "Don't make Thanksgiving plans based off of a negative COVID test." And then they were talking a little bit about how like there's like false negatives and stuff like that, where you can have
Oh my God.
people that get tested and then they are positive and they get a false. Like, look, I mean, I'm trying to be as strict as I possibly can. I mean, the New York Times can fuck themselves. Like
Leave it alone. For real, they're the worst.
There's no way that I am going to get tested and then just on the sliver of a possibility that I'm still positive, that I'm going to alter my entire existence based off of that. So
I know I'm going to just eat a Lunchable by myself.
Yeah, exactly. Like, oh, that'll be great for my mental health. Like, people are blowing their brains out because of this stuff.
Exactly. Anxiety, depression, suicide, it's never been higher, I feel like.
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah.
Mental health issues are horrific right now. And Thanksgiving is a time where people are off work, they can relax, they want to see people they haven't seen. And like, obviously, I totally get it if like you don't want to see like older relatives and, just be in that situation. I mean, we're certainly gonna have a much smaller Thanksgiving this year than in years past. But
yeah, same.
But yeah, to be like, yeah, if you get a negative test or like just don't have Thanksgiving at all, or
I know,
New York Times, you can suck it. I mean, no one thinks you're credible anymore. You're just a sham. You're a clown of a newspaper. You're basically what big media has become is just like gossip columns and just opinion pieces. Mm. It's like, we know what's best for you. You shouldn't do this. Trump did that, all this stuff. Trump's a super spreader because he had it and he spoke at an event. Meanwhile, Joe Biden wins the presidency and cities explode with people on the streets and no one says a word. So you can see where the media is when it comes to what they really, really care about. And it's not your health. It's whatever makes one side look bad. Mm. So I don't associate or take anything at all from big media outlets, whether it's Fox, CNN, New York Times, anything like that, because it's all clickbait bullshit run by, whatever. We'll leave it at that. I can keep going, but I won't, because you get it. But it's crazy. I mean, the great Aaron Rodgers said he's super like frustrated and confused by it because he's like, I can be out on the field, I can like dap up a guy and hug a guy and celebrate in the end zone and scream at people and get tackled, get sacked and everything. But like in the locker room where everybody's like trying to celebrate, or, it's just a place where you can be a closer as a team. He's like, everything's plexiglassed. I'm like in my own little cube. I feel super isolated. But as soon as you're on the field, you're safe from COVID now. And it's just like the same thing with a restaurant. Like you go in a restaurant with a mask, and then you sit down at the table, you take your mask off, and you're like, I'm good. Oh, COVID can't get me. I'm sitting at a table. I'm free from COVID now.
I gotta look up this meme that I absolutely died laughing when I saw it. I'm hoping I can find it.
And
it's literally exactly what you described.
It's just bizarre. It's just all like, I don't know. I don't think it's called virtue signaling, but it's called, I don't know. You're just putting up appearances to appease, I don't know, the COVID master, the gods of COVID.
It's just like the cognitive dissonance. It's remarkable. I can't find it. Anyway, it was just like this really shitty graphic of people sitting down at a restaurant, and they have this bubble around them, and COVID viruses are trying to get at them. It says something along the lines of like, "Phew, it's a good thing we have this force field now," or something like that. Just like the most ridiculous thing in the world. Oh man.
Oh God! Like in Vegas, it was crazy because like you would be at like a table or like the sports betting room, and they had like the chairs 6 feet apart
Yeah.
from everybody, which was fine. And everybody had to wear a mask at all times in the casino. And like you had like a beer or whatever drink you had at your own little table, and like you would be drinking it, and like obviously your mask would be off,
Yeah.
and people would like every 5 minutes make their rounds and be like, wear your mask, just barely take it down when you drink and put it right back up. I mean, it was like you could not have your mask off in Vegas, or somebody was right there that was like,
Yeah.
put it on. And it was crazy. But I mean, it was probably for good reason. I mean, I get that. That makes more sense than like sitting down and just being like, take your mask off. And you're like, I'm good. I'm safe. We
6
made it.
feet.
Got to use the
6
bathroom. Let me put my mask on and go to the bathroom. Because COVID's out here. And COVID's not going to get through a cloth mask.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what are we doing?
I know. I know. It's yeah.
I mean, every time you get in a car, you have a 1% chance of dying. Not getting in a wreck, but dying. You have a 1% chance every time you go outside of falling down and dying.
I didn't know
1%. Yeah.
That's pretty damn high.
I know.
If you think about it.
Very high. Very high. I mean, the chance of you getting in a wreck is way higher, obviously, but like dying in a car is 1%. And then just falling in general is 1% dying while dying of a fall related issue.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm not equating the two, but it's just interesting to see what percentages of things like can cause death. Like, you know, I don't know. It's sometimes I'm like,
you know,
sometimes I just like, I'm not mad because it is what it is. The damage has been done as far as the economy and stuff. And,
oh yeah,
you know, we'll never get this year back as far as, you know, not being able to do what we wanted to do. And I understand why that is. And I'm not really upset by it because there's a lot of things that were positive out of this year. I think that happened for a lot of people. But hopefully we'll be able to, you know, after the vaccine is widespread and people are very comfortable with that, hopefully we'll be rocking and rolling under a Joey B presidency.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually already have my concert tickets lined up for middle of next year onwards. So
nice.
We'll see if that ends up actually panning out. I think by
hopefully
the end
hopefully Rammstein reschedules.
I really, really hope so. Parkway Drive rescheduled, so I was really, really pumped by that. So I will be seeing them probably in September of next year. So hopefully by then most people have been vaccinated.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a while.
Doesn't get close in those shows though.
No.
You can distance pretty easily there.
Yeah. I'm going to see Lamb of God in August, I think, and in the mosh pit. I have tickets for the mosh pit.
Okay.
So I mean, everybody's definitely six feet
Everybody's
apart.
gonna have a mask. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Gloved up.
Yeah, gloved up, with just a random gloves, just because that really helps.
Oh yeah.
No. In all seriousness, though, like if I haven't been vaccinated by then, I'm not gonna go. But I really hope that by then it's looking good. Moderna released their vaccine, or like their kind of preliminary results on their phase 3. So that's excellent news. So now we probably have 2 vaccines that seem to work at least at 90% effectiveness, and they're going to hopefully start rolling those out by the end of the year. And then, I mean, to your point, you said earlier about lockdowns. At that point, if the initial vaccines go to healthcare workers and they go to the feeble, the older people or people that might be susceptible, open everything back up. Like
Right. Open it
that's
all.
yeah, just open it
Open the
completely up.
doors.
Yeah, exactly.
I already got the vaccine. It's already in
Oh,
me.
oh wow, you've been microchipped already. Wow, congratulations. It would be great to be one of those phase trials.
No, I've had the vaccine since day one.
Okay. So that's
Inside of me.
okay.
It's Jesus, it's my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
You might be seeing him a little bit earlier than you'd intended.
Nope, nope, I'm safe. I'm just kidding. Just kidding, Jesus. Um, but the story, the story that I wanted to tell was about me running this weekend. I ran
Oh yeah.
10 miles.
Wow. Okay.
That's my story.
Is that the first time you run 10 miles since your surgery?
Third time.
Third time. Okay. And how's that been
Mhm.
feeling?
Pretty good. I mean, just definitely trying to take it slow, but um, yeah, I mean, sore the next day, but not necessarily my knee, So I'm just trying to stretch a lot and get ease back into it, but I had to ease back in with 10 miles because if I don't, I go crazy. Um, but I was about so I was running on the trail this weekend,
Go on.
and there's many people on the trail on the
Uh-huh.
weekends,
Yep.
which is fine, but
Sure.
I will say have a little bit of awareness. Don't act like super alarmed or like I'm trying to rob you when I'm like right behind you. Like people have their back walking in front of me and I run like around them, like pretty wide around them, and they're like, ah! And I'm like, okay, how did you not hear me
Yeah.
and get out of the way?
Yeah.
And B, it's just like, I don't know. It just blows my mind that people are just lacking awareness of their own surroundings,
Yeah.
that they can just be like, oh my God, I could never have anticipated another human on a public trail on a weekend. My God, I thought it was just reserved for me. Um, so get out of the way when I'm running is my number one thing. Um, and then, a lot of people are out there with dogs as well, which is
Right.
fine. Um, I passed a guy let's see, he was coming toward me, old guy walking his dog, small dog,
Go on.
probably smaller than a beagle, but bigger than a chihuahua.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So
and
Doberman.
he was off leash. Yeah, yeah. Let's say it was that. He was off leash, and he was like, standing right beside his owner, like
Okay.
wasn't an issue. He passed me walking, and at a certain point, I turn around at the 5 mile mark, and I'm running down the trail now. I turned around, I run down the trail. I hear the dog sprinting around a corner. I don't even see the guy. He's coming right at me. And I'm just like, oh no. So I bend down and I put my hand out. Because that normally works. and and he like kind of slowed down, but he still ran up and like jumped up, but it wasn't like a play jump. It was more like a shove, like he shoved me.
This
And
Doberman.
I was like, okay.
So you
I was
flew
like,
against the tree.
yeah. So I was like, all right. I don't know where your owner is, but I'm imagining he's just up ahead. And I like start to jog again, and this dude is like jogging beside me, and I'm like, oh, he's like wants to run beside me for a
Mm.
while. That's kind of fun. Nope, he didn't want to do that. He then wanted to growl at me and try to bite me, and like herd me so that I didn't get in front of him. I
Oh.
don't know if he had sort of a herding breed inside of him.
Yeah.
but he was doing that maneuver where he was trying to push me off the road.
Yeah.
And I was like, really? And like I tried to like go, and he was like, nah, dude, you can't go by me because you're gonna kill my owner probably. And we finally are. I'm just walking, and he's like looking back at me, walking in front of me, and I'm like, really not gonna be. And I see the old guy. He has no idea, by the way, that his dog is just gone from him. He's just walking. And I have headphones. In, and I'm like, I was like, all right, I'm just gonna start running, and I'm just gonna sprint real quick around this guy. He's gonna see the dog, and he's gonna stop the dog.
Sure.
Or the dog's just gonna stop,
Makes
when
sense.
he sees the owner.
Makes sense.
Also didn't happen.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I do a quick sprint. And I'm like, all right, and then I turn around, dude, I'm way past the guy at this point, and the dog is right on me. And I was like, oh my God. And I'm at a dead sprint. This dog is right on me. And I'm like, just any second, he's going to just latch onto my calf. But if someone had seen this, I swear to God, it would have been the funniest thing on earth. But in the moment, I was like, are you kidding me? Like I did a 300-yard after running 5 miles, 300 yards at a dead sprint. I mean, I was booking it, and no one was around to see it, thank God, because it would have been the most embarrassing thing in the world, this tiny dog. And he was right on me, and I was like, and he finally stopped because I like went through this huge mud pit. And he finally stopped, and like I was so close to just completely blowing out the tiny piece of hamstring I do still have in my bad leg, which by the way hasn't grown back. Surgeon. The surgeon said it was going to grow back. It hasn't. I don't know what he was talking about. But
I was confused by that myself.
So I'm like feeling both of them, and I'm like, this is one on the left is far more pronounced than the one on the right.
Yeah.
But he's like, oh yeah, it'll grow back.
It's
That's the cool thing about the hamstring. I'm like, is it though? Like I'm not really an octopus. And so yeah, that I was like, for like a mile after that, I was like, is my hamstring actually wrecked here? But luckily it wasn't.
That's good.
So that was my being chased by a dog story. And this dog was probably 10 pounds maybe.
That was quite
I ran
a story.
for my life. I literally ran for my life. I don't know why.
All that just so this guy would notice that his dog had left his side.
Had no idea. Still probably had no clue.
That is stunning.
Or he might have laughed. He might have tried to get him back, and the dog was just like not having it. But
yeah,
I mean, there's definitely evil in the dog's eyes. So I mean,
10-pound dog. That's a good thing it wasn't like a bigger dog. Then it really would have been scary.
Yeah, I wouldn't have tried to outrun it. I mean, at least I know now what dogs I can outrun, and it's not a lot. I'm very limited in what dogs I can outrun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wow.
Definitely the moral of that is to have your dog on a leash on a public trail.
Seriously.
So I was running, and I'm like, well, if I get a little bit more space and he's still there, I have to kick this guy. Yeah. I have to punt this dog into the woods. And then and the old man has to go.
Yeah.
Because once I get a taste of blood, I can't stop.
You just start kicking people. You just can't stop.
Move. Yeah, I definitely get in a mentality sometimes when I'm running and I see people like 100 yards away, just like coming toward me. I'm like, move, you better move. You better move to the side. I'm not moving to the side.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Well, it's that white privilege coming through.
I know. I got to check it. Never
Got
check it at
pig.
the door.
Oh my god, dude, that was hilarious.
Yeah, so that's my running story of the week.
Sounds good. Well, I think on that note, we could probably end the podcast. That was a highlight to go off of. Man, oh man, that was good.
Because the mental image of that is pretty funny.
We do.
I wish I.
We're gonna try and hire a cartoonist to
Oh yeah,
illustrate this story for us for
we're getting our
play-by-play
old
action.
friend Andrew Arnold to illustrate.
Yeah,
Remember that guy?
yeah, I
Well,
do.
that's a throwback.
Yeah, man, oh man,
What's he
yeah.
up to?
I don't know. He's in California. That's all I know, really. He he's been doing or film production, and I honestly beyond that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Well, he's a listener.
I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean,
I'll be thrilled to hear his.
at this point, it's it's 50% of the population that listens to this podcast. So I'm not
That's
at
where
all
they get their
surprised.
news.
Yeah, that's how they're getting their news. Yeah. All right, folks. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the Homespun Yak, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.